I'm coming off an amazing workshop, working at Fetola and working with the SAP Foundation. What made it stand out for me is I got to sit and watch Catherine Wijnberg, the CEO of Fetola, do her thing. And believe me, this is going to be a blessing to you. If you're an entrepreneur, if you ever thought of becoming an entrepreneur, you do not want to miss this one. So this is one that you want to hit that like button, that subscribe button, because we are talking beliefs, fears, anxieties, the guilt and shame that entrepreneurs face. What's holding entrepreneurs back? Catherine, welcome.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here. It's a privilege. Thank you.
It is a privilege for me to sit in front of you. Believe me. So when I was listening to you facilitate earlier, I got a number of people coming to me and telling me what the feeling was after your session. And you unearthed some deep financial fears, anxieties for them. And here's a list of what they said. One said you triggered them. You took them to a place they never thought they would go in a workshop, felt like crying, felt a bit of shame for why they'd let things go that far. Another said what stands out for them in the workshop was just understanding the impact of the values that they have for their family have been affecting their financial decisions so much so that they are holding them back. And there's a whole list of these things that kept coming up from these participants. What's your feeling when you hear feedback like that? People saying, I didn't know it was this bad until you stood up.
So I wouldn't want people to think that it was that bad. Mm-hmm. I think that what is so important is to understand what are the hidden things that hold us back. Because as entrepreneurs, we work so hard. We work so hard to get ahead. You know, somebody in the same room was saying how he was working until 3 a.m. to do quotes and stuff. And so you hear that the entrepreneurial journey is such a hard one. People are so diligent in it. And what pains me is to see that diligence, and where you on the outside often can see, whoa, you know, this guy's actually holding himself back. And so the starting point of learning is to recognize that. And so what I try to do in the workshops always, and I do usually take people where they didn't expect to go, because we're very good at hiding stuff from ourselves. And so it's important to have a facilitation style that does take you a bit out of your comfort zone, because we're only really learning when we get out of our comfort zone. But it's
funny.
I'm glad they felt touched, and I hope that in the end it was a really positive experience.
Yeah, it's definitely touched to the point of wanting to do something about it, and urgently. And I guess that was the intention.
Yes.
Funny, with what you're saying, one said it's like you are powerful without even trying.
Okay, we're all powerful. We're all powerful in our own way. I mean, the obvious answer to that is that I've been around the block a little bit, so I'm a bit older than those than entrepreneurs in the room. So many of them are young; they're under age 35.
All right. So before we get into these things that hold entrepreneurs back, what's your journey? How did you become this woman, this amazing leader that you are?
So I think, let me just quickly touch on it. So I have a lot of experience in business. I've built many different businesses. I've worked in 3 different countries. I'm born in Zambia. And so I'm born in Zambia. I've had businesses in South Africa, in Botswana, and many different types of businesses. I've had a farming business. I've had a department hotel. I've had import-export, logistics, so many different businesses. So I have a very wide range of experience in different types of business. And I've had great highs and great lows. And so I've experienced the full
business
spectrum
on both sides,
the full spectrum of success and failure in so many different areas, and I think that's what I bring. That's what I'm really passionate about business, and I'm really, really passionate about helping people to succeed, to grow, both as individuals and obviously in their business, and that's what really drives me.
Where does the passion come from, though?
Who knows, eh?
It just came.
Who knows where it comes from? I kind of have this thing, I have this saying in life, is if you're not learning and you're not contributing, it's time to check out.
Okay.
And so I'm really much in service. All my businesses actually have been service businesses. I really love to help people to succeed. When other people succeed, that I succeed.
You said a statement that I didn't know if I was listening as a participant I'd be scared, excited to hear and learn about, or just how to process it. You said you get the kind of money you believe you deserve.
Oh, yes. So that's a really powerful statement, and that will rock a lot of people's foundations. So I do have a belief that we all have as much money as we believe we deserve.
That sounds painful even listening to it now.
Yes, and so the thing there, what I'm trying to say is to people to understand that it is them that holds themselves back. And again, the example is we can all see people who, wow, somehow they all have more money than we do. You know, in business it would be a classic. How did they get the job? I'm much more experienced than them, and yet they got the big job and I didn't get it. Why is it that some people are just attract money? They're kind of like money magnets. And other people, the same story. So what is it? They're so talented, but they just push money away. And we can always see it in other people. We can say, oh, that's a money magnet and that one's like, you know, pushing it away.
This one is not.
But now what I'm challenging people to say is, so what is that in you? And that's where it becomes challenging, is because we in our life we develop all of these defense mechanisms where we don't want to look even at ourselves, and we sure don't want other people to see inside us. And so I think in a workshop you are like uncovering things that you've hidden, maybe you didn't even know about, but you've hidden them for a lifetime.
Have you gotten feedback doing exercises like this that has surprised you from the group?
I think people are always amazed. They resist it. So you sat into the workshop.
Yeah.
So initially you'll see that one or two are saying, yeah, okay, yeah, I've got a bit of stuff holding me back. And then as you press on, it's like everybody eventually says, okay, no, that you've touched on something here. There's stuff that's holding me back that I didn't know was holding me back. And when you can recognize it, you can start to deal with it.
Someone said, the first time you say the statement, because you hadn't given them context. And after you had given them context, they changed that statement, because I ended asked. They said, I don't agree with that statement. What if you are saying it from a position of privilege and you grew up in money?
Yes.
And I didn't.
Yes.
I don't have, you can't say I have the money that I believe I deserve.
Yes. So it is important to listen carefully to what I'm saying, and to recognize, and there is this journey. So first of all, it is shocking. Sometimes, you have to wake people up, right? So sometimes the first statement is like, some people, yes, they get it, and other
That
people are
shock
going to
effect.
resist it. But when you go into the story and you start to explain and ask people simple questions, like, what did your family believe about money? And the classic would be, so you go through a few options, and the classic would be, oh no, my family said money is the root of all evil. And then all sorts of hands go up. And then you start saying, okay, so if that's your kind of core belief, so if that sits within your DNA, that money is the root of all evil, don't you think that could be holding you back with your ability to earn money? And that's the starting point of a journey to then explore what are the hidden beliefs that sit behind that affect our relationship with money. And does that belief, so if you've been grown up saying money is the root of all evil, well, and now you're in business and your job is to make money, there's a big conflict. And so that conflict means that you may try really, really hard, but subconsciously you don't want to succeed because that's evil.
What's your background though with these beliefs, and how have you seen yourself evolve over time?
Yeah, so my family didn't talk about money. I was lucky that my father was an entrepreneur and he was successful. So in my growing years, I didn't lack for money. So no doubt I had financial privilege. But it can also be a negative. So in my case,
I'm curious.
I'll tell you, because in my case, my father was born in a very poor family. So he left home at 14 in order to earn money to send home to care for his siblings. And what he learned was that he expressed love through giving people money. And so he was very generous, and his way of showing love was to give people money or to help them in some sort of financial way.
Even to you as well.
So I only realized at the age of 50 that subconsciously I had been preventing myself from succeeding, because if I was to succeed financially, it would mean that my father's love relationship to me would be damaged. And I love my father very dearly. And so subconsciously, I was always being slightly inadequate financially, a little bit not really succeeding, so that he was able to show his love to me by giving me money or being there if I needed money.
So basically you're saying, in a way, there are people out there that are afraid to try and go after their goals financially because for some reason they feel when I make money, I will lose relationships.
Yes. So,
and relationships that I value.
Yes. So in my case, it was that my father needed to be able to give me money to show love. But in other people's cases, it could be, and there were examples in the room where people said, but if I become successful, people will know, but they will feel less that the friend relationship will break. Or another case, there was somebody that said, if I become wealthy, then everybody's going to come and expect me to support them, and I'm going to feel this huge burden.
And I don't want that burden.
No, and he was in fact the youngest of a family, I think, of 5. The only boy. And so he said that he definitely feels that there's an anxiety that if he becomes financially wealthy, he's going to have the whole expectations of the entire family on him. And subconsciously, he recognized in the room, yes, okay, that could be something that's holding me back.
All right, so what advice do you have for people like that? Because there will be someone listening and feeling like, yeah, that's actually something that I'm going through as well personally.
Yes.
And I know for a fact that the more money I make, the more jealousy I attract around me, and I know what my family situation is like or what my community situation is like. Do you have advice for someone who feels that way?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point. I think the starting point is recognizing it, because when we recognize that, things, we can deal with it. And then in that case, it would be, I think if the concern is that your relationship with your community is going to change, I think one has to recognize that, and you then make a conscious choice. I'm either going to move ahead and be financially successful, or I'm not. And if you're holding yourself back, you're doing so consciously. If you make the decision to be successful, then it's about saying, now I've made the decision to be successful, financially successful. How could I put that money to good use? And the classic would be in business. Let's go ahead and be really successful in business. Let's really make lots of money. Let's do good things, do good in business and be financially successful. And then you have all the power to do what you want to do with that money.
That does get past this challenge. And if someone is saying, all right, so back to the first statement, you get the money you believe you deserve. If I'm struggling to believe I deserve $1 million, for example, how do I change that for myself?
Yeah. So I also made a statement in the room that money is a form of love.
Okay.
So money is, if you like, if love is what flows between us, money is like a tangible way for that to be measured. And so part of the thing about believing is we have to love ourselves. And for a lot of that's really difficult. We've all got wounds. We've all got stuff. In our childhood, people said things to us, or for girls, it's often you too bossy, you make too much noise, be quiet, get back in the corner. But everybody has some sort of wounding, and so I think that a lot of healing, when it not only when it comes to money, I think a lot of healing is going back and saying, what is the wounding? Why can't I love myself? And then when we start to love ourselves, we start to recognize our value, and then we become more comfortable in financial wealth.
Put it that way, because when I listen to you and just watch how you work, there is a grace and confidence about how you just do things effortlessly. Is there therapy involved there? Or
there's always therapy. When you're with me, there's always therapy. It's simple, Ntando. I love the people I work with.
Is it?
So, and for me, there's nothing greater than giving people awareness, self-awareness. And so for me, the style of working with people is not to tell people stuff, but for them to help them to find it out for themselves.
So it's not the work on yourself. How did you develop yourself to become this person?
So my secret power, my secret power is my intuition. So my life, if you like, is about observing. I go through life observing what's going on, seeing what other people do, what lessons they're learning. I use my body as a bit of a radar, so I'm very conscious of how I feel. Did something make me feel good, or did something make me feel bad? I've honed my intuition. So my intuition is really, it's that kind of magic. How do I know things? How do I see things that other people don't see? And that's because a lifetime of really recognizing.
Recognizing and testing and experiencing.
Yeah, and teaching yourself. So learning.
What does that look like for an entrepreneur, though? Intuition.
Yeah. So so there's maybe two things I want to say. It's really important to be intuitive, but it's also important to use data and research. So I'm not a great believer that you just go with your gut and invest R1 million. I don't think that's wise. But I do think trusting your intuition is really, really powerful. And so it would be classic situations. Let's say you recruited somebody and they didn't work out. And the thing is, we go back, and if you go back and say, well, how did you feel in the beginning? 9 times out of 10, you'll say, you know what, I actually had a feeling it wasn't the right person. I kind of knew. And then you go back and say, okay, what was that feeling? Let me recognize it. And that feeling was that it wasn't the right thing. So you bank that. So you bank that knowledge for the next time when something comes up. And it's like, hang on, what am I feeling?
I've felt this before.
I'm feeling this before, and it was the negative or it was a positive. So it's just like anything. It's like going to gym and exercising your muscles, but it's exercising your muscles for how you feel. What your intuition told you.
And just learning to listen every now and then.
Yes, definitely. And that classic, when somebody has an accident, and I so often I listen to it, and they say, I knew I was going to have an accident. I just knew that day. And they say, okay,
feel it.
Yes. What was that feeling? Bank that feeling.
And that's the intuition you're talking about.
And that's your training your intuition.
And for an entrepreneur, that applies to who to work with, which customers to get involved with, who to hire.
Yeah, who to hire. In fact, just before this interview, I was going through a list of people that have applied for a job for me, with me. And a lot of that is about, I know that there's going to be a stage when you sit and you just have a feeling. You've read through the CV and it's like, kind of, there's something here that doesn't match.
Okay. In your experience, though, coaching, training, and developing entrepreneurs, what would you say, outside of the beliefs around money, what would you say are the top 2 or 3 things that hold entrepreneurs back?
I tell you what they need to get ahead is the big thing is confidence. So I think the more confident you can be, the more you believe in yourself, and that's why the money thing's so important. Is really being confident, having self-belief, and deserving in success. I think that's probably number 1. I think number 2.
The big one, because you see it in the room, especially when you have a big workshop.
It's a huge one, and that's part of my thrill is to help people to shed this stuff. So if I've got a limiting belief about money, let me help you to shed it, because as you shed it, you can grow in confidence. Or maybe particularly around, a lot of people have issues around money. I say there's only a few people in the world that don't, and that would be Elon Musk.
That was nice, by the way.
Warren Buffett,
Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos.
So those are the few people that have got so much money they don't know what to do with. They don't have issues with money. Everybody else does.
True.
We may not be conscious of it, but actually everybody else does. So unpacking those things, helping people to notice their blockages and get ahead. So first about you, are you measured as an individual? Do you know yourself? Do you trust yourself? Do you like yourself as well? So but self-confidence. I think probably the next thing is, do you have the ability to get the right people around you? Because success in business is never just about one person. It's about really facilitating the right team, asking for help from the right people, getting the right people in place so that you can replicate your skills and move up, and then you can build a team that can help you to go forward.
Do you see, on that point, do you see entrepreneurs who do get the right people around them, but they don't have the leadership competencies to either keep or develop them?
I think generally if people don't have the leadership competencies, they don't get the right team. I think it's kind of like
they don't get lucky.
I don't. No, I don't think. I haven't experienced it like that. Yeah, I think because I think generally.
You know why I'm asking?
Yeah,
because when you said it, I thought of one entrepreneur. This guy was making almost 100 million.
Yeah.
And the business had collapsed to less than 20 million.
Okay.
In the space of 2 years.
Okay.
And it was sort of a turnaround intervention. In one meeting, he said at the end of a brainstorm that, but I have a question. Why is this even necessary when at the end of the day what I say is what goes? So he walks out to go get tea, and when he walks out, the team members say, see what we have to deal with every day.
Yeah. So he became 100 million rand success, and then because of his lack of leadership, it went back to 20 million. Okay, so he managed to do it. You know, I always have this thing is that leadership, you know, it's about how wide your hands can extend. So you can lead. So you can have leaders that can do a lot of stuff up until the point where their fingers can't reach anymore. And then at that point, you have to have teams in place. And you have to be able to actually run a business, not just a small business.
Okay.
I was coming to the third thing.
Yeah, good.
You know, I think the third thing is really about how being able to comfortable with money and able to handle money. So quite often you'll see people that are really good at doing what they do. So they're good farmers, maybe, to give that example. I'm a really, really good farmer. But in order to succeed, I need to be able to manage my money and to manage it properly as a business.
Learning to manage money effectively. Okay. You said something about small business owners around in general. I don't know if it's research where a lot of small business owners are struggling when it comes to just that piece. And when it comes to financing their businesses, they don't qualify for, they don't get what they would qualify for if they just had their books in order.
Yes. That's number one. So the research comes, in fact, it's documented, but also a lot of ad hoc feedback, not just in South Africa, but throughout the whole of Africa, is that small businesses find it very difficult. So there's billions of money, there's the continents are awash with money wanting to be invested in small businesses, but the businesses are non-compliant in the very simple way. They're not able to show their financials. So businesses, sometimes it could have been 3-5 years in business, actually can't produce a decent set of books. And usually for classic financing in situations, that's the bare basic. And so what we find is that often people will go about, they'll have fantastic businesses, they'll be able to feed themselves, they'll have maybe, have assets and that, or stuff they bought cash. But as soon as they need to grow and scale and get finance, they don't have the basics. They don't have the finance, the documentation, maybe they don't have compliance. And those then become the things that hold them back from getting that growth finance.
Okay, great. When you look at how you've grown Fetola over the years, and it's an organization I'm personally proud to be involved with. What's your secret behind growing this organization and the work that is done with so much excellence around the country?
Yeah. So I think the core of it is that we have an incredible alignment of passion and purpose. Like the entire team are there because we want to make a difference. We come to work, we love working together, we have really, really strong culture. And because everybody's there, we get so excited about helping other people to succeed. And I think that's absolutely at the core of it. Because at the end of the day, your culture is your defense mechanism. Other people can take your methods, and lots of people have. Lots of people have taken our methods and using them, but they're not us. Because what is us is that wraparound of culture. So I think that's a big deal. I think that's one of the big reasons that we've managed to do well. I think the other thing is that we're constantly improving. We're entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I understand entrepreneurs. I'm always looking for solutions. I can sit there and say, if I was an entrepreneur, what would I need now? And then just make sure that we're responding to that and that we're looking out. We're not just looking at our feet. We're looking at the bigger environment, what's happening, what are the trends coming up, and have we prepared those entrepreneurs for those changing environments?
That was something that was new for me when I started working with you. That every time we do seminars, there's feedback meetings later to check what we could improve for the next workshop. And each time we keep finding something, adding something. Yeah. It was a new experience, and it was cool to be a part of. So someone might not quite understand what you mean with the desire and just the drive around continuous improvement, but I've seen it firsthand. It's something you want to do each time and each year, and I've seen the growth, front row seat to see the growth in just how things are executed, and that's great. Where do you think that comes from, that part? Or let me ask it this way, who has had the greatest influence as a teacher to you in entrepreneurship in general?
So I learn, ears are always open. I'm always
So there's
looking elsewhere.
too many
so
to recognize.
Yeah, I don't think there would be one. I mean, if I was just to say one thing, so I asked my father when I started Fotola, because he built a successful business, and I said to him, Dad, I said, what do I really need to get right in order to make this business work? And he just said to me, reliability. There's just one thing, you need to be reliable. And
what did you think that meant?
So what it means is do what you say you're going to do. You don't have to be the most incredible business. You don't have to have the best price, but people will come back to you if you're reliable. So that means quality, a consistent quality. They know that if you're selling a T-shirt, it'll always be, they'll know that a medium size is always a medium size. It's not one day a large and one day a small. And so I think reliability, and I think for small businesses, they often get that wrong. Small businesses tend to think, I didn't get the job because my price was too high. And they go chasing, but they think it's
I was
all
about to
price.
ask you that question as well. But what if a small business says, I have tried reliability, but I'm in a market where it's not working. Clients prioritize cheap things.
Yeah. So there's never one answer. How long have we got here? There's never one answer.
Let's make it my last question.
Okay, all right. There's never one answer. And I think the important thing is to recognize, as a small business, you don't just say, that's my price, and get all wounded if somebody says your price is too high.
Yeah.
You stop and reflect, and you say, okay, so why is my price too high? Is it because the way that I'm producing things are not efficient? Or maybe you're expecting a T-shirt for 100 Rand, and I'm giving you a double-stitched organic cotton, Egyptian cotton T-shirt where just the raw materials are 100 Rand. And then what you say, you have to re-engineer. So if you're prepared to pay 100 Rand, either it's not a match because my cost price is
too high,
or I say, okay, I get it. Let me try and re-engineer and reduce the cost of production. So I don't know if that.
So you still can be reliable, just re-engineer your costs to
suit
the market that you're after.
Yes.
One thing I say to the entrepreneurs who say that as well is to say, you're not tied to serving one market. Sometimes you might be in that situation because you're just focusing on the wrong people for you and for your business and for how you want to work in general.
So that is a whole conversation.
It's
a whole nother conversation.
It's a big one.
That's a whole nother conversation.
But thank you for sharing your wisdom. I have one last question for you. What's the future like for Fotola? What's your big vision and your contribution to the space, entrepreneurship ecosystem?
Yeah. So my big vision is to grow our impact by working with partners. So our team in Fotola, we're really good at innovating. We're really good at building new methods. And what we would really love is that we work through a network of partnerships so that we can build our impact and really move out and make a huge difference. My big dream, I think my big dream would be to make a difference at a country level.
It's a good one. I'm thinking, let's tell any entrepreneur that gets to listen and feels like I want to be a part of that ecosystem, what the whole ecosystem is about, how it serves the entrepreneur, and how they can be a part of it.
Yeah, sure. So I think to join the ecosystem, they must just go onto our website, fotola.coza. And there what we have, in fact, just starting already, I think it's on the 6th of March, free monthly webinars on really important topics, free to entrepreneurs, and also to
topics like.
So the first one coming up is on trends. It's on the trends for 2024, what it means as an entrepreneur, what you need to focus on, what you need to get right in your business.
And look out for ESO.
And so I think that's going to be really powerful. And I started with that one because I know that we don't, as entrepreneurs, take time to look up and look out.
Check what's going on.
Exactly. And big corporates spend millions of dollars every year on trend forecasting. But entrepreneurs don't get access to that. And
so this is going to be relevant for every type of entrepreneur?
For every entrepreneur, every entrepreneur. It's about saying, these are the trends. Let me just share with you what the trends are. But more than that, what does it mean for you? And so that's going to be the first topic.
That's powerful. And by the way, it's free.
Yeah.
Do you have one or two other ones that they can look forward to? And then I guess they can always go to the website.
Yeah, sure. So the one that'll be coming up in the following month in April will be about circular economy. And so we've had some incredible results, some really powerful results with the small businesses that have transitioned into circular economy. And so we will be sharing some of those tips, because I think that one of the trends that is coming really fast at us is sustainability and climate change. And so we implemented a circular economy accelerator in the last 2 years, and so we've got some really exciting data that we want to share. So that would also be
if they want to come into these programs are all in your website, and they can apply from the website.
Yes, so the best thing is, because these things are always really competitive, a lot of people want to be part of them because they're really amazing, they're life-changing. And so the best thing is, if somebody's interested or think in the future they might want to be part of a program, just make sure you get into the ecosystem, you get onto our database, you give us an email. So, because with social media you may see it and you may not, whereas if you're in our database, you absolutely will get noticed. You'll be the first to get noticed the next time there's an opportunity.
So if there's an opportunity, you just send to everyone that's registered onto the database. I think it's great. It's great advice. It's great. It's a great opportunity for every entrepreneur to just be a part of it. Free resources, free training, and access to incubation opportunities. You'll be the first to hear as they pop up.
Exactly.
What are you most proud of when it comes to looking back at your journey and how far you've come?
So I can tell you that I think the best day of my entire career was last year on the 14th of December. We had our end of year strategy session, and everybody in my team presented what they had done in the year. So each team got an opportunity. They had to present 4 slides. What did they do in the year? So what was their activity? What did they achieve? So their successes. What were their challenges? And what were their hopes for 2024? And that day was, I've always said that my dream is that people come to Fotola to bring their A game and be able to express the full capabilities of themselves. And that day was just one whole day of me just going, oh my word, this is incredible.
Even stuff you didn't know.
That things were going on in the business I didn't even know about, and it was just incredible. So that delights me, that people come to Fotola because they want to be everything that they were put on earth to be, and they actually get to be it.
And they're growing even when you don't see.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think it's great inspiration for anyone starting a business, and not just leadership in general. And you have a book coming up. What should we look out for?
So yes, I'm about to publish probably in the middle of this year a book. And what I've done is that I'm really passionate about building this sector, and so the book shares all of our model, so our secret sauce. So it shares the secret sauce, what we do, why we've done it, a little bit of my own journey and how we built Fotola, and then some examples of actual accelerators that we built with some entrepreneur case studies. And my motivation for doing it is that I want people to know how and why we should be investing in small businesses, because that really is the way to make people's lives, to change 1 billion lives, to change lives for the better forever.
I wanted to conclude, but you said something that makes me curious of this one thing. If you are breaking down the model of how you built and grew this organization, aren't you scared you're literally empowering your competition?
I am empowering my competition.
With your secret sauce.
Sure. There, people, the thing is, I am. But you know what it does is that it just forces us to be better. Because it is never just the secret sauce. The secret sauce always improves.
Okay. So that's basically your advice to someone who's scared to share their ideas out there.
So this is the age of partnership. This is the age of working together and of collaboration. And so I think, don't be foolish about it. So if you have a secret, if you're what's the Kentucky Fried Guy? What is his name? Yeah. So Colonel Sanders. If you have Colonel Sanders' secret sauce, of course, don't go and show everybody this is how to make my fried chicken.
KFC,
but I think there's no harm, particularly in the space. What we're trying to change lives for the better. What are we going to do? So, well, I'm only going to change 10 lives. No, it doesn't work like that. You say, if you're genuinely here to make a difference, you share your stuff.
And the more people that do it, the better, because we are better when we win together.
We're better when we win together. And I also think that for me, I have a belief. I never do things that other people can either do better or cheaper than me. So if somebody's got a better idea, either they do it better or they do it cheaper, let's work together. I can help you to succeed, you can help me to succeed, and together we improve. And that's kind of my philosophy.
I know you enjoyed that. I know you loved it. Thank you for sticking with us till this time. Hit that like button. Remember to share and subscribe. We appreciate you sticking with us, and this goes a long way to supporting the channel. We'll be back next episode discussing mindset and profits. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, you boys were learning.
Good.